touch base, see what your priorities are for the session, what you're working on, what you're getting other people to work on with you.
Mhm. Well, basically, a couple of the things that I've been working on in the past, I'm still bringing forward. Number one, we filed the autism bill last year. And so we are filing that again. Senator
Okay.
Collins is our Senate sponsor. And so that should be moving forward pretty quickly. We're working with FDLE currently now to, make sure that the language is going to be okay with them. And then we'll be moving that one forward. So that's just the part where we're adding that training for autism awareness would be law enforcement and correctional facilities. So that will be filed, but we're just tweaking the language right this minute. We were ready to go yesterday. We thought everything was good, but FDLE had a couple of questions. And so we're just trying to put that in line with them. The other one is, the big initiative that I had the past two sessions was the mobile home initiative. And so that really hasn't gone away completely for me, although we did get 613 passed. There's some additional homework that needs to be done with that. I've been meeting on a regular basis with DBPR, and we're trying to work through some additional issues and make sure other areas of the mobile home industry is being addressed
Mhm.
and getting their input on that if in fact it is needed. But to keep moving that forward, what we are doing is running a bill to put mobile homes and mobile home lot assistance in SHIP, where they can apply for rent assistance, just like other entities can do that currently in law. So we're putting that through because we're finding, there's still a lot of those areas where these people are at risk. They have never been able to apply for rent assistance, and so now we're going to ask that they be added to that list. So that's a biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had any good feedback from 613 and how it's helped mobile homeowners?
Well, honestly, it seems like there's some confusion on who wants to read it in what way. So it's like every time you put something on paper, one person wants to read it one way, another person wants to read it another way. That's why we're trying to, shake through, what is the authority DPPR has to move that forward, solve these problems as it relates mostly to mediation. So the mediation part of that language was the new one, in addition to the home health assistant aides. So that one seems to be fine. There is no issue with that piece of it. But I think what we're seeing is there are park owners who are just thinking they can say they don't have to mediate. No, I'm not mediating, and then they think it goes away. Well, no, that is not true. So
Mhm.
we are working on fixing that, and or at least having DBPR make sure that they understand, no, that's not what you get to do. Plus DBPR is having some issues as it relates to the timeline. We shorten the timeline as 20 days that the two entities can say we're going to go to mediation, and then DBPR can step in, and then they can put a mediator on the agenda if that doesn't happen with the two entities. And so I'm sorry about that. I've been doing the flu thing this
Yeah, I almost call
everybody
that
else up
myself.
here. It's been like a petri dish up here.
Oh no.
Um, so we're trying to flush that out as well. I think, and this just goes back to everybody trying to read it the way they want to read it. And it's like, no. So we're trying to make sure everybody understands this is now the law. This is how you need to go forward with it and kind of go through that process. So we've had, I think, several across the state, and they reach out to me. I had some folks from Volusia County and Lake County come to my delegation meeting in Osceola County because of the mobile home bill. And so it's very interesting. I'm so sorry.
No, no, you're
Um, so it's interesting the dynamics that are happening with that. So it's an ongoing, but what's happening, and still I want to express, because I know I did this in the media this past year, is FMHA and FMO are talking on a regular basis still. And so they are fleshing out some of these issues, and they're the ones who are supporting, both entities are supporting the language for the rental assistance. And so I've met with all of them as well. So there's really great news in the fact that the local organizations are actually speaking and talking and, dealing with the issues. The challenge is we have a lot of park owners now in the state of Florida who do not belong to the associations. And so they kind of fly under the radar unless somebody's calling them on it. So the other part of that is the educational piece to make sure that, the communities in mobile home parks know this is what you can do and these are the protections that you have. So we're trying to make sure we get that message out as well. And we're talking to DBPR about doing that. And FMO and FMHA are willing to help do that as well because they understand that is part of the process. A lot of people just don't understand what their rights are, where they need to go for help. So we're pushing those two things forward.
And that's HB 71.
That was yes, six, the statute is 723.
Okay, I meant is that all part of the new bill as well? Just, or is that just stuff that DBPR has to do, like rule?
So we're dealing with that with DBPR right now. What I've said
Okay,
to him is I want us to go through all of this. If this is not something that is going to be resolved through the department, I will introduce legislation in the next session
gotcha.
that will deal and confirm some of the issues that are being done. So, because these people are still at risk, it's like I've told you before, we have this huge affordable housing issue that everybody wants to talk about and that we throw all this state money at. And yet we have this huge affordable housing industry that we're just not taking care of. So it just needs to continue to be on the radar. And the good news is a lot of the representatives across the state have joined in because their reps are now, their people are now talking to them about the issues in theirs, plus their constituents copy me, and then I follow up with them. And now they're coming to me and talking to me about that. So it is getting some, traction everywhere with other areas. So I think that's helpful. The other things that I'm doing, I have a local bill that I'm running for Osceola County for the Sheriff's Department. And that's just adding majors to a statute where they are protected in the event when there's an election for a sheriff. And so a new sheriff comes into town that they're protected and we don't lose that career base and that knowledge factory, these folks who've been there for a while.
Mhm.
So we want them to be able to bring in their own teams, their own leadership and that kind of thing. But we're just adding this one category so that those folks are protected, for their jobs. And then I know we talked about at one time the Build-A-Bill program that I do in Osceola County. So we held the well, I don't want to say auditions, but the interviews for our top 5 that we picked out of, there were 30 that submitted Build-A-Bill applications through their civics classes. And then we took the 5 and my advisory council went in person and we had these kids tell us, this is the thing that we think needs to be fixed. And so we have picked one. We call ours Marley's bill, and that's because a young lady by the name of Marley is the one who we selected. It won't go through legislation that way, but that's what it's going to be. But it was amazing to us with the Build-A-Bill and the students that were talking about the different issues that were important to them. 4 out of 5 of them had to do with their teachers and either teacher pay, the health status of their teachers. And Marley's bill deals with mental health. And so she has requested that we run a bill to give teachers 2 days, 2 personal mental health days a year, and the ability to see a psychiatrist, psychologist, or some other form of mental health counseling so that they can help be in a positive frame of mind. They understand, these students are amazing. They understand that there is so much stress. Either they feel like they're underpaid, They have all these responsibilities. Sometimes they're working two jobs to make ends meet. And so then they just feel like, they struggle sometimes being up at school. And
Mhm.
then, of course, they do admit that sometimes it's because, they have poor behavior. So it was a opportunity for our advisory council to, rib them a little bit and say, hey, what is it you're doing to your teachers to stress them out so bad? So it was kind of fun to have those conversations with them. But those are the main four that I'm dealing with right now.
Wow. Okay, cool. So you'll have the other two up.
Yeah, we're working on those. Marley's bill, we have the language, and we're just waiting for one piece of it, and then the button's ready to go on that one. So all of those are ready. Those will be filed.
Okay. Did you have any appropriations in particular that you're focusing on or?
Well, I have a list of about 10, but I might tell you my top one is what the county calls North Lake. For us growing up in Osceola County, it's West Lake, Toho. And it's the cleanup there. We did get some approach for it last year, but we only got half. And so it's a huge issue as it relates to the hydrilla
Mhm.
problem we have in that lake. And it doesn't always affect just that lake. It ends up affecting other lakes because sometimes, if you have boaters or whomever in there, then you end up carrying that to another lake. And then now you're dealing with your whole natural ecosystem. So I had actually the FWC was in here just yesterday, and we had a long conversation about the lake issue and what we're going to do. And so I've asked to help be a voice for them because there's different opinions about how, everybody wants it treated differently because some have concerns with, herbicides, some have concerns with harvesting, whether it works. Um, the long-term best goal is a drawdown. And so that's what FWC is recommending, but they feel like they don't know if the community is ready for that. And I'm like, well, if that's going to resolve the issue, we're better off doing that, and getting it under control much deeper. And then you can do that with limited maintenance, which solves everybody else's problem. Then you don't have to do the other pieces. But it's expensive and you have to, go through that. But what do? If you don't do it that way, then you end up, here's money here, here's money here, here's money, and you're throwing it at it and you're not solving the problem.
Mhm.
So hopefully we can move that off center.
Yeah, I saw I spoke to Senator Arrington yesterday and she told me
Mhm.
that was also on her radar is trying to
Right.
get drill it taken care of.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And for those of us who live there, I know Senator Arrington has too. She's much younger than me, so um I've kind of grew up 3 blocks away from that lake, and so I'm pretty familiar with it. And I currently live on East Lake, on the canals that go into East Lake. So, it's a big deal. Our lakes are an issue. And so what happens in one lake affects many other lakes. And so we really have to make sure we're doing the right things there.
Uh,
The other big appropriations that we really hope we get through is Cross Prairie Parkway, which is a east-west road in Kissimmee, between Kissimmee and St. Cloud, because we have additional growth over there. And if we don't do something, we're just going to be stagnated and sitting in traffic forever and ever. So we're trying to get that back up on the system.
gotcha. Oh, I
But
see it now.
but we have but those are probably my two biggest ones.
Um, how hard is it to get these budget requests through?
Well, this year it's going to be interesting
Yeah.
because, the mandate has been, look, we're not just trying to, throw money in local communities for, individual political gains. It's more about what is in the best interest of the state.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And it's true, you want to be a good steward of taxpayers' money. So, the things that are coming through, we need to prioritize and make sure we're doing the right things.
On the other hand, there's a lot of priorities in Florida because we keep adding people.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Uh, we keep adding people and they keep trying to cut taxes. Um,
Oh, yeah.
is
So, yeah, there's other stuff behind the scenes that's happening, and you're just like, okay, now is this just real, or are we just like, is this just a talking point?
yes, yes. I think we
Mm,
both know what I think we've
yeah.
talked about this. Yeah. Um, uh, Speaking of that, is there anything else that the legislature you hope takes up or deals with this session,
Well,
side of what you're pushing?
I'm hoping that we're going to deal with the insurance again. I know the insurance committee, they've had some really significant discussions. I don't happen to be on that committee, so I don't really know where they're landing on anything or if they are. But I do hope that moving forward, we do address that because that's an ongoing problem for the whole state. And there's good and bad on both sides. We know the issues and we know sometimes what drives it, but there are things that we could do. We just need to make sure that we're doing the right things.